Unit number 5, Fiction, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Ernest Hemingway, author. He was born in Oak Park, Illinois in 1899. Began his writing career as a reporter with the Kansas City Star in 1917. He participated to the First World War as a volunteer with an ambulance unit on the Italian front. In 1973, Hemingway traveled to Spain to cover the Civil War there for the there for the North America newspaper Alliance, and 3 years later he completed his great novel For Whom the Bell Tolls. During the Second World War, he was a war correspondent in Europe, and his last year he lived in Cuba. He wrote his masterpiece, The Old Man and the Sea. In 1954, he was awarded the Nobel Prize, and he died shooting himself in 1961. Background of the novel. It is based on his experiences during the Spanish Civil War. An American protagonist named Robert Jordan, who fights with the Spanish soldiers for the rebellions, set in the Sierra de Guadalmara mountain in range between Madrid and Segovia. The action takes place during 4 days and 3 nights. The story graphically describes the brutality of the Civil War. Characters. The novel has three types of characters: those who are purely fictional, those based on real people but fictionalized, those who were actual figures in the war. Robert Jordan, American university instructor of Spanish language and a specialist in demolitions and explosives. Anselmo, elderly guide to Robert Jordan, Gauls, commander who ordered the bridge's demolition. Pablo, leader of a group of anti-fascist guerrillas. Raphael, incompetent and lazy, but well-intentioned guerrilla and a gypsy. Maria, Robert Jordan's young lover. Pilar, wife of Pablo, an aged but strong woman. She is the leader of the guerrilla band. Austin, foul-mouthed, middle-aged guerrilla. El Sordo, leader of a fellow band of guerrillas. Hemsworth's hero, even if he cannot overcome the forces he fights with, he always faces death and dangerous with dignity. It providing an example of how Hemsworth's hero is first of all a model closely up on the author himself. He is an outdoors man, but he is not a yokel. He is strictly sensitive to the reality of the world he lives in and the suffering it inflicts. He is honorable and brave, and he wishes he were able to do the best in any situations. Themes. That is a primary preoccupation of the novel. When Robert Jordan is assigned to blow up the bridge, he knows that he will not survive it. Pablo and El Sordo, leaders of the Republican guerrilla bands, see that inevitability also. Suicide always looms as an alternative to suffering. Many of the characters, including Robert Jordan, would prefer death over capture and are prepared to kill themselves, be killed, or kill to avoid it. As the book ends, Robert Jordan, wounded and unable to travel with his companions, waits a final ambush that will end his life. He prepares himself against the cruel outcomes of the suicide to avoid capture, inevitable torture for the extraction of information, and death. Hemsworth and his suicide. From boyhood on, Hemsworth was fascinated by death and particularly by suicide. Five of his seven completed novels end with the death of a male protagonist. A sixth ends with the death of the heroine. His preoccupation with suicide was brought to him during 1920 when he began to suffer from attacks of depression. The narrative style. The book is written in the third-person limited omniscient narrative mode. The action and the dialogue are punctuated by extensive thought sequences told from the viewpoint of Robert Jordan. The novel also contains thought sequences of other characters, including Filler and Anne Slimmo. Hemingway frequently used images to produce the dense atmosphere of violence and death. His books are renowned for "Whom the Bell Tolls" is the automatic weapon, as he had done in A Farewell to Arms. Hemingway employs the fear of modern armament to destroy romantic conceptions of the ancient art of war, combat, sportsman like competition, and the aspect of hunting. Heroism becomes butchery. The most powerful picture employed here is the shooting of Maria's parents against the wall of slaughterhouse. The novel also contains imagery of soil and earth, most famously when Jordan was on intimate with Maria and feels the earth moves out and away from under them. Then afterwards asks Maria the F. Curiosities, a film adaptation of Hemingway's novel. It is directed by Sam Wood, was released in 1943, starring Gray Cooper and Ingrid Bergman. It was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Actress. However, won the Greek actress Katina Taxino teams, for whom the bell tolls in 1937. Hemingway went to Spain as a correspondent because he had already fallen in love with Spain a decade before. Loyalists supported the government republic, which wanted political, social, and economic reforms. Loyalists were comprised of working people, trade unions, socialists, communists, anarchists, and anti-royalists. The Fascist Party, led by General Francisco Franco, professional military officers, the Royalists, the Church, wealthy landowners, and the peasantry. Hemingway's sympathies were the Loyalists. The novel is not a political piece for him. He found ridiculous excesses on both sides, ends and means hopelessly confused. Sacrifice of life rendered meaningless by stupidity or brutality. Hemingway incorporated these sobering realities through the experience of Robert Jordan. Literary aspects. In the dialogue, Hemsway tried to convey the feeling of Spanish is being spoken. The dialogue varies between the dignified, somewhat archaic effect in some passages and the strong, colloquial, modern effects of others. Symbols, bridge, and natural surroundings are most significant. Structure. 3 days of time in the novel from Jordan's arrival and meeting with Anselmo in the first chapter to ending in the last furnish a framework as a tragic drama. Code of the hero. Robert Jordan is a complex protagonist. He is a man testing himself and the meaning of his existence in a world of whose dom- dominant values he cannot accept. Even though Robert is not naive, he believes in people and the ultimate meaning of what he is doing. Is the novel ultimately an affirmation of human courage, dignity, and brotherhood? Could it at least be a demonstration that mankind seeks perpetually to believe in values such as these?